Hello and welcome to Breathwood. My name is David Yates, and we are over 1 month into hashtag Yearofdidge and hashtag 3-minute Didge. The challenge is to play 3 minutes minimum every single day for a year, and to choose one rhythm and stick to that rhythm for those 3 minutes. Obviously, you can play more than 3 minutes a day and play other things, but for those 3 minutes, the goal is to go really deep into one rhythm. So today I want to talk a little bit about what I'm learning as I explore this rhythm. So that's often written as TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA. Ta breath ka, ta breath ka, ta breath. And the breath makes a sound like wa, so that's why we say wa. TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA. And right away, what I notice every time I play this is that my emphasis starts to slide onto the first ta, TAWAKA, and then on the next, the second wa. TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA, TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA, TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA, TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA. So if you listen for those sounds, you'll hear they have a little bit more oomph. So the first thing then that comes to mind and has been coming up all month is the idea of emphasis. Where do I put my focus and what sounds get more power? So let's say I shift that to just the ta. What does that sound like? It's a totally different sound, and it affects my technique. When I give the beginning of each little snippet of that rhythm, TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA, it not only changes where we feel the accent and how it maybe makes us want to move, it changes the flow of air. So each little piece gets this extra push. Toof, 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 and it kind of powers it like an engine. So you can play with where you put the emphasis and how that affects things. So if I shift it now to wa, let's see what that sounds like. TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA, TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA. Some moments there I was pushing a little too hard and my lips were blowing out. That's not something I've focused on much. So maybe if I were exploring that idea, I would need to give it more time to build that technique. And then finally, we've also got the ka in this particular rhythm. TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA. So that's more about emphasis. Now, I noticed that as I change my emphasis, I also change what I'm listening for. And often when I play this rhythm, the ka changes to more of a k, ki, ki sometimes. TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWAKI, TAWAKI. It really is affected by how the mouth moves to shape the sounds. If you think about how things work, the tongue starts more tip of the tongue up, ta. The wa is this backward closing motion of the back of the tongue and the back of the mouth. Ta, and then ka. For some reason, I often get ki, ta, ki, ta, ki, instead of ta, ka. I guess ka is a bigger movement. So one thing I've done with this 3-minute practice is to really focus on the clarity of the syllables. I choose the syllable I want to make, the vowel sound I want to make, and then try to focus on that. So here's a slower version with ta, wa, ka. TAWAKA. I'll try. Initially, I had to work just on getting the ka sound in there. TAWAKA. I used to play it TAWAHA, TAWAHA, TAWA. So that's another thing to work on. Along with vowel clarity, there's consonant clarity. Can you get a clear t or k or any other sound? So obviously next there's also speed. And there I'm losing it right now. I usually can go faster. Today not the greatest. But here's what I would suggest to those of you trying to go fast. If you're losing dropping sounds like I am, and if your breath isn't really feeling comfortable at slower tempos, it doesn't make too much sense to push the tempo, at least yet. Play faster a little bit to push, like you're lifting weights, to push yourself, but then come back to a tempo where, you're on that edge of being able to clearly articulate all the sounds. I would say the goal is clear sound over fast tempo, so something to keep in mind. But then there's more. The wa, which is the sound that happens when we close the back of the mouth to breathe, just for a moment we squeeze, ta-ng-ka, or like if you expand your cheeks and then squeeze them. The position of the tongue makes a difference with that sound. So a forward tongue, ta-ng-ka, versus a more back tongue, ta-ng-ka, will sound different. So here's forward and back. So the tongue position does so much for the sound, and I think is one of the leading reasons some of us have weak sound or inconsistent sound. And I feel like based on whispers from a few really high level players, this back upper tongue position is really important for awesome sound. I keep hearing this idea that the space there could or should be compressed a bit, and I'm still trying to work it out. So sometimes I play with the idea of taking the tongue and pulling it up and back a little bit to constrict or make the space a little smaller. That brings me to another idea. The lips vibrate, but the shape of the lips and the shape of the air chamber of the mouth can also be varied. Sometimes I feel like I'm playing with kind of a flat space in my mouth. And maybe I feel like my lips are really pulling to the sides. Sometimes I feel like it's more of a round shape. I actually feel this change in my lips. So that's worth exploring if you're at that point. And again, with some of my recent learning, I heard about this idea of really playing with the way the lips come in contact with each other, moving the focus toward the inner part of the lip for a fatter, bassier sound, and toward the front part of the lips for a thinner sound or a higher sound, and of course, even more so for toots, trumpets. So this motion really affects that, and I feel like the lips get a bit fatter and maybe a lower thicker sound when they're a bit more pursed, which goes against everything I feel like I've learned or taught myself or heard from other people. So once again, this shape in the mouth versus this shape. Obviously, it can be fun to go back and forth and play with those. Then, as I mentioned with the tongue, you can use the position to change the sound of the wah. What you're really working with there is the frequency of the overtone, right? So you get higher and lower overtones during that sound. So you could start back and move forward and move back and get kind of this rising and falling frequency. All I'm doing is playing that exact same rhythm, but focusing on the position of my tongue in the mouth. TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA, TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA, TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA, TAWAKA, TAWA, TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA, TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA, TAWA, TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA, TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA. A student pointed out that my tongue might actually be more flexible than some people's tongues. This little tendon area here that can restrict movement of the tongue up or back doesn't really exist, so I can get my tongue way back. So I wonder how that might affect different players and their ability to make these different sounds. And if you have a different internal mouth shape, it might make it hard to get some of these positions with your tongue. So keep that in mind too. The structure of our faces is different. That makes a big difference. Then there's obviously adding voice. Overlaying voice of different pitches makes a huge difference to the sound. And we can take this repetitive rhythm that we're going to play for a year, supposedly, and make it interesting by adding even one vocal note in a repeating cycle. So I can take TAWAKA, TAWAKA, TAWA and just put a vocal note on the first ta, and it suddenly sounds really interesting. Then maybe both tas. Maybe all three tas. So this can be done in a conscious way. You decide, am I putting ta on, or a voice on one ta, two tas, three tas, the first and the third, only the third, and then play with that for a while. Play with that for 3 minutes one day. Another layer, adding in-breath toots on the wah. Similar to the vocals, you can decide, do you want to put the toot on one wah or multiple wahs? So I often put it on the third wah with this particular rhythm. When I get it. And then on a fourth repetition, I like to put it on all three. TAWAKA, TAWAKA, ta toot, TAWAKA, TAWAKA, ta toot, TAWAKA, TAWAKA, ta toot, ta toot, ta toot, ka ta toot, ka ta toot. Got that? There we go. And from there, you could try taking a rhythm into only toots. You could try. Apparently I can't. There we go. And then than trying to go down to the drone, which is not working for me so well right now. I think you get the idea. Go up to the toot and occasionally try to drop to the drone. That's tricky stuff. So again, playing between drone and toot is another example. So wow, I've been going on about this for about 15 minutes. As you can see, playing just 3 minutes a day of the same rhythm can open up worlds of possibility. And I feel like I'm only scratching the surface right now. You know, playing with a microphone and headphones is an amazing way to hear the intricate layering of your sound. And because the sound is the goal, it's worth doing that if you have the setup, if you have the gear. Use the 3 minutes to really hone in on exactly what your sound is doing and how it's responding to your mouth, because all the sound comes from here. This is it. The Didge is just an amplifier. Well, it does more than that too, but on a basic level, it's amplifying what happens here. So, all right, enough of that. Hashtag Yearofdidge, hashtag 3-Minute Didge. Post your videos on the Didgeridoo learning community for feedback and support. And I look forward to checking in with you in about a month. I'd love to hear how it's going for you in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Happy playing, and I'll see you again soon.